In the world of adult action figure collecting, there has arisen two warring factions. Those who want highly detailed, accurate portrayals,
and those who just want a fun toy to mess around with.
Hello, I'm Justin.
And I'm Kyle, and we are the Mirror Twins, and today we'll be looking at which is better, action figures
or posable statues. Welcome to Mirror Opinions. There might be some fist fighting.
I hope not.
No,
well, maybe outside.
Fist hugging.
Fist hugging. I don't know. I was thinking about what that is, and my mind just went blank.
No.
It's like someone.
That's fist
What?
nuzzling. It's fist nuzzling.
Yeah,
You gotta
thought
know.
about
Now
what
that's
is
weird.
That is weird.
Fist nuzzling is
That's-
weird. The difference between a posable statue and an action figure, I would say most people would see it as more detail and price. I would think you'd want to back out a little bit and say, who is the intended audience? Obviously, like a G.I. Joe Classified, they're going for both, right? They want kids and they want adults. Probably leaning heavier on adults, but it's still a 4+ toy. It still has to pass all the drop break tests and all of that, whereas these do not. A lot of these say 8+, 12+, some of them even say 14+, and that's actually a legal definition. That means it hasn't gone through the same drop break tests, stress tests, and all the other things that some of these toys... Oop, he's a defector. He's on the wrong side. He should be over here. Is that how you would see it? Or do you have anything?
I would more specifically say the intent rather than the target.
Mm-hmm.
So the intent of a posable statue would be for something that's not meant to be played with. Its primary goal is to just look good on the shelf.
But some of these look really good.
They do. They're more durable, and they usually have better articulation.
You would say those have better articulation than the posable statues?
Yeah, from what I see. Well,
I would agree.
You would agree?
I would
Okay,
agree.
you paused there. Like you're gonna fisticuffs me.
Hug my fist.
It's like we're gonna fight. I agree with everything you just said. That's a great fight so far.
So what would you say more fits into the camp of action figures versus posable statues as far as brands or
How do you mean
audience?
Okay, audience. Well, this is more for kids and older. A lot of these are made for Transformers specifically. They are made for kids, but they're also for adult collectors, and they're meant to be posed. A lot of times parents will get these for themselves, but they allow their kids to play with them too, because they're durable enough to handle that. Now they might get scuffed up and scraped a little bit, but primarily they're going to hold up. Whereas if you gave one of these guys to your kids,
No.
they'd be broken.
No, they'd snap in half.
They'd snap in half. They
tiny-
also weigh a ton. I mean, it hits the floor, a piece shatters off, it flies into your kid's eye. Dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria.
So we're talking like the G.I. Joe Classified, the Marvel Legends, the Motu, anything from Mattel, pretty much.
The Transformers Generations.
The Transformers, anything that's not Masterpiece, would you say, for Transformers?
Not Masterpiece and
Not HasLab.
not HasLab. I'm trying to figure if you
Like, where would you put that line for Transformers?
Transformers Generation.
Okay.
If it's in the Generation line or the Studio Series. Studio Series leans more into collectors, but that's still under the Generations umbrella, I
Yeah,
believe.
and that's still 8+, right? But that's more for complexity, I think.
Yeah, it's
For
different.
Transformers, they grade it not by drop break test, but how complex it is to transform.
Well, they also have to go through the...
They do, but I think they have to consider other things than
Right.
like an action figure. And
Yeah, but even that's fuzzy.
Yeah,
you'll
because-
get something that's complicated that says it's for kids.
yes, and like for action figures, if they come with small pieces, they'll have to raise the age.
Yeah.
So maybe everything's durable, but so you can't always go by durability. There's a lot of other legal things.
Yeah, and I think there's fuzziness and also intent.
Yeah. What's interesting is that some of these, and we're talking about the upper echelon of Transformers, we're talking about Super 7, NECA, Four Horsemen, Boss Fight Studios. Now, some of the ones I named were kind of on the lower end, but they go way high. Hot Toys.
Mezco.
Some of the upper echelon of Bandai Namco are in that more expensive range that are not meant
SH
to
Figure
be.
Arts.
Yes. Which is better?
Toys. Toys are always better.
No, these are better.
Why do you say those are better?
Because they look amazing.
But you can't touch them. You touch them and they crumble to pieces. Or they fall on your kid and kill them. Do you want that?
No.
Do you want to bring death in your house?
No. So one of the issues is that, let's just talk about the elephant in the room. These are made of a different type of material. These tend to be more ABS, and these tend to be more PVC. Now, some people might think, oh, ABS is harder and PVC is softer because you think PVS pipe. Nay, nay. It actually, you can change the hardness and softness of both. And they both have different properties when you do that. Do you know why the higher end stuff tends to be more made of PVC?
It's easier to look at.
It's easier to look at. In a sense, one of the reasons is that PVC tends to hold detail and paint better.
So, I was right.
That's why a lot of these are hard PVC. And again, we think of PVC as like PVC pipe. It tends to be softer. You can control the hardness. Just like ABS. ABS, famously, Lego is made of ABS, but it's very hard. These tend to be more...
you can sharpen a saw with a Lego brick.
Yeah, but remember, this is in general, most of these things have multiple types of materials, and even the same material in multiple levels. Like, do you know the joints, like Motu and these, they're called self-lubricating joints, the elbows and stuff, and the reason why is because plastic isn't sweaty. It doesn't naturally secrete oils. It's just
that'd be weird if it didn't.
It would be weird and amazing too. You know, real sweat action. Smell the adventure.
Didn't they make wrestlers that stank like a long time ago?
Probably.
That sounds
like you just fill it with
maybe
your
I
own
made
sweat
that
in the back.
It's got a sweat tank in the back of the figure. Gross.
You push the back and it just mists out from the neck.
Remember that the
Cobra
G.I.
Khan.
Joe?
Motu.
Yeah, the Motu
Cobra
guy.
Khan.
That was his name, Cobra
Yeah,
Khan?
Cobra Khan.
Except it just came out of their joints.
Yeah,
Just-
or they had holes like around their neck and their
Gross.
armpits.
Gross.
And you press it and it was actually scented.
like a sweaty wrestler.
Yes! Yeah, I love this. All right.
Pour your
If you
mom's
want to reach
potpourri.
out to us for more amazing ideas for action figures, let us know. So this holds paint better. Tends to, because of the material it's made of. So my point with the self-lubricating joints is that it is a completely different style of plastic. They add different chemicals. Maybe it's mainly ABS, but they've added other stuff to it to make it that self-lubricating. They can't make the whole thing out of that because it either doesn't hold the detail, doesn't hold up a stress, like you can scratch it too easily or something like that. I'm just saying,
Or you
for
can't
instance,
paint it
or you
something.
can't paint it, yeah. I'm not saying those are the reasons, but those are examples of some of the reasons they don't make the whole thing. So all that to say, these are made of multiple types of materials and plastics. It's not just one thing.
Yeah, a lot goes into these toys. A lot of people forget that.
As far as detail, these win. I don't think these are comparable. I mean, we pretty much just said you can't have the amount of detail. Look at this Cyclops. What is that, 3 or 4 pass-throughs of paint apps?
And all the rivets.
Now, you're paying for them, but we'll get to that. It just looks so amazing. It looks so lifelike on the shelf. Let's say this Motu Chronicles Scareglow. He has a ton of detail and paint on his head, but not really anywhere else. Maybe a little bit on his armor and on what little clothes he's actually wearing, which is weird when you think about it. It's like nearly naked muscular skeleton. Everything else is done just with the color of the plastic. A few tampographs. Whereas this guy is head to toe painted.
Covered in paint.
Everywhere, even a dark wash to make the muscles stand out a little more. It looks alive, and I think that's the draw to these. The Red Sonja, she doesn't have a wash on her body, but on her hair and some of her weapons and stuff, it looks living in a sense. And I think if you're attracted to that, that's when you want a posable statue.
Also, people who don't mess with their figures. If they want to set up a scene and you want a Cyclops, you want a non-licensed property, and which a lot of folks are doing. A lot of the toy makers, the smaller independent toys, they're going medieval, or sorry, fantasy genre.
It sells.
Yeah, they're doing a lot of that, and they look really good. You have these really cool-looking monster designs. You set up the monster attacking the hero's in a cool action pose, defending himself, and that's what you go with, right?
So this is better, right?
No.
So you're willing to suffer detail and look and aesthetic for being able to put your
Have fun.
greasy meat sticks all over.
Well, what do
it.
you do with these? You come home, they're sitting on your mantle, you'll have your fine seltzer water, and you're
Yeah.
sitting back in your ascot and your fez, and you just, good day.
Yeah, I talked to him.
You talk to them.
I asked them how their day was.
And they're like, don't touch me because I'll break. These are the most unfriendly figures. And then you just like, hey, how's it going? You give them a high five and their arm snaps off.
They're not that fragile.
No, but I mean, which is the figure? Was it him? You moved the arm and it just scraped all the paint off?
The way they made these, and this is not typical of others, but they actually put paint over the internal joints. You don't typically see that, and this is older.
And we know why.
Maybe they don't do that anymore, but not only was it made out of the colored plastic, this dark blue plastic, but they actually painted the joint too. So as soon as I moved it, that internal joint scraped all the paint off.
They also have less joints because they don't have the double elbow.
Yes.
So they can only do 90 or slightly less.
Yes.
Like Vulture-Man, that's as far as his elbow will be.
Yeah.
Which is fine. I'm not saying that if you like this better, you're wrong. That's silly, because collectors going to collect what they like and what they want. But if you want a toy, if you want something durable, if you want something you can actually pick up and mess with, this is what you go with. You go with the toys, man.
You're telling me you come home and you're drinking your high C in a juice box with your little beanie and a propeller.
How did you know I had one of those?
your Ecto Cooler that you saved from the early 90s. It's probably toxic by this point.
Probably a large supply.
It's probably toxic back then, honestly. And you actually play with them. You actually transform these guys. You don't just set them on your shelf and put them in the pose you want.
Well, I don't want to hurt their feelings. I rotate the ones I keep on my nightstand so they don't get their feelings hurt.
So, and then you're able to look at yourself in the mirror the next day.
Yes. And I think, good job.
Yeah, because I wouldn't want to put these on the nightstand, because if I accidentally knock them over, or the kids...
You turn off your alarm clock too aggressively. They're going to shatter like glass.
Just dust. There's
You're
nothing
going to be vacuuming them and they go in the vacuum in pieces. Justin, you want to go over the history of adult collectible action figures?
Yes. So Japan had a history of making toys for adults long before the West. There was a strong adult collector, like even back in the 70s. But the first American toy producer to consciously and actively go for adults and kids, what do you think it is?
Well, I read the notes, so it's Spawn.
That's right. Todd McFarlane's Todd's Toys, or McFarlane Toys, Spawn. Now, obviously, that was a no-duh, because he wanted to make toys of his line, and his comic was obviously for adults. But it was a toy line that went for consciously detail, less posability, more paint, and definitely toward the adult market. He was kind of the forerunner. And it took the big boys years to catch up to that, because that was back in the 90s.
So for Transformers, in 2002 was the first reissue of Transformers to look back at that nostalgic
you mean like a reissue of a G1 guy?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was Optimus Prime.
Of course. Who else would it be?
If you're going to start with number one, you got to start with number one. That's right. And then Europe had reissues as early as the 90s.
Okay. So that's kind of going for adults, but it's really just they were early on the nostalgia train. As far as new toys for adults, Mattel wouldn't join the idea until 2008 with the Motu Classics line. And even then, they were scared to bring it to market. It was a online only figure, which was new. They pioneered that. They were the first ones to ever do that, I believe. And then later on, it was like a subscription thing. That didn't come about because they were innovators. It came about because the higher-ups did not want to take a risk of putting Motu on the shelves, especially one that's geared toward old things, and there was no TV show, there was no comic book, there was no anything. So they put it all online, and it was a huge success. And I think, as far as one of the big boys, they were the first to really get the ball rolling, that they were like, no, these are for adults. And they were actually sculpted by Four Horsemen. And later on, in the very end of the line, Super 7. Now, Super 7 was using the Four Horsemen molds and stuff. Random weird fact. Do you know in the history of America what the first toy, not action figure, but toy that was specifically marketed to adults was? There's a very boring statistic.
A stick. A really nice stick.
Penny farthing?
A penny farthing.
It was actually the Frisbee. So almost like a stick. It's a plate.
It's a pie plate.
It's a pie plate.
According to Back to the Future.
Yeah. All right, so let's talk about the big elephant in the room, the cost. these generally tend to be more expensive for a variety of reasons. We won't get into all of them, but one of the reasons is that they're just smaller companies. They can't eat that cost. They can't devote the research and development. Huge companies, Mattel, Hasbro, they can move money around. They can well, this didn't do well, but we'll move this. We already have a deal with this manufacturer, so we can get this cheaper. Just amount of volume. They can get a cheaper deal per figure just because of the volume, whereas these guys, they can basically only afford the 1,000 or 2,000 limit, and that's all they can make.
Yeah, and Hasbro has specifically stated that, I know for Transformers at least, when they budget out toys, it's for the entire wave. So if they want to take a little bit from this figure to make a better one of this figure, it's spread out within that wave. So it is, like you said, it's more spread out between the different toys.
Yeah, and I don't even know if they rob Peter to pay Paul. We have a surplus in Hot Wheels, so we're gonna take some of that for this figure. I don't know if that works that way, but they could if they really needed to.
Yeah, we don't know.
Obviously, these tend to be a lot more expensive. I would say the cheaper range, although he was pretty hefty, but NECA tends to run now upper 40s. These are starting at 50 and up.
Not only are these smaller companies, but the production value, there's more that goes into this guy. When you were talking about all the different paint applications, that
raises the cost
a lot. People don't understand how much paint costs. The person who puts that together in the factory, they're not just touching it once, they have to touch it a second time to put a second coat on it. And when it has more than two, this obviously has at least three, because the horns are a different color and there's two different colors on the helmet. So that was touched at least 3 times.
Yeah, and it's not the paint itself, it's what you were saying. It's how many...
It's the labor.
It's the labor and the slow in production. If you can produce only 2 of these in a minute, that's different than producing 20 of these heads in a minute. Hugely impacts your cost. They have to make money or they can't make the stuff we want, so they have to raise the price. Again, it goes back to what you want, but do you think it's silly to pay that much for a toy? I mean, yes, it's a posable statue toy, but it is a toy.
Well, kind of getting back to what you were saying earlier, $40 isn't that much anymore. That's about what they cost now. Deluxe is $35 now. And so for $40, buck up until you hit 50 or 60 nowadays. The cost, is it worth it? It depends on the person. I don't want to be boring on film, but if you like this, that's what you get, right? That's what you want, that's what you enjoy. If you want a Cyclops to stare at you every time you come home and you're afraid to touch it, that's okay. If you want a little guy who's not nearly as detailed or looks as cool, but you're not scared to pick him up and move him around, then, that's what you want, right?
Not so much with NECA and Super 7, but Four Horsemen and Boss Fight Studios tends to go for, I'd say it's about half and half now, where it's licensed versus their own property. This is their Mythic Legion line, and it's been going on for a long time, and it's still very popular. The big boys are always going to do license. Now, some of them are their own license.
Right. Transformers and G.I. Joe and Motu.
Well, I don't know if that's a point that's interesting or not, because now, whereas before these guys were always their own thing, and now they're getting more into the license. I mean, heck, the amount of license Boss Fight Studios does now is crazy. And before, they were their own thing for a long time.
Kind of everything's getting more expensive, so when people complain about price, I'm like, you don't have to buy it. Yeah, it stinks. It stinks for everybody. We're in the same boat as you, but that's just what stuff costs now. And to point the finger at a corporation or, it's the CEO, to point one finger at one person to say they're the cause of all the trouble, I think is not fair, first of all, and it's incorrect. I mean, yeah, he might be a greedy jerk, but I mean...
Well, I don't want to get into it too much in this video, but why does the CEO of a company that is specifically designed for charity make millions of dollars? People always say they could give their salary to charity. Yeah, but then they wouldn't do the job. They have to pay these CEOs this amount of money and these ridiculous bonuses. You always hear so-and-so company lost money, but the executives and the entire board still got bonuses. It's because they wouldn't do the job.
Right.
And you wouldn't have the stuff. And it wouldn't be as successful if you hired people who would give their salary away.
It's not the perfect world, and it's not great, but that's the way it is.
It's not a nice truth. but it is the truth. It's not a truth I'm comfortable with or even like.
It'd be wonderful if the CEO, all they cared about was making you happy.
Yeah.
But that's not.
He personally visited, hey Kyle, I know you bought a lot of Transformers. I just want to thank you. Here's a gift card to Fridays.
Oh, thank you, CEO of whatever company.
Hasbro. He said Transformers.
Hasbro, okay. You my Hasbro.
I imagine that's how all CEOs talk when they're nice. Hey.
They're kind of pseudo Mr. Rogers.
Yes. So the big question is there anything that exists in the middle? Is there something that still has the durability, the playability, you're not afraid to touch it of a toy, of an action figure, but leans a little more toward the detail, the sculpt, the paint apps of these posable statues?
Here's a Transformers example right here. This is Alternator's Blue Streak, and he is a licensed Subaru, and he's got realistic interior. He's 1/24th scale car. He's not fun to transform if you got 10 or 15 minutes to spare. There's something in between where he is the typical Transformers durability and posability and all that, but he's way more detailed, 1/24th scale, so he will easily hide in a robot in disguise, if you will, into your car collection.
Other than a few black panel lines, just seeing it sitting on your shelf, you wouldn't know that that thing becomes a robot.
Yeah.
They're that good.
Yeah, the hood's open, they had engine detail, they all have dashboards and front seats. They're really cool.
But not fun to transform.
If you want a Rubik's Cube that is actually a robot.
I would say on the action figure side, Boss Fight tends to be in the middle because they make really good detailed figures for maybe like $10 more than this stuff. Now the licensed stuff is ballooned to like $55 and $65, but their own internal 6-inch figures, and these are really posable. These do have the double elbows and the double knees that Super 7, Four Horsemen, NECA does not. So I think Boss Fight is still an option that really feeds both. In my opinion, for your money, Boss Fight is a good middle ground.
Are you collecting any still?
I would love the Conan, but I think they're just astronomical.
What is he running?
He is $65. That's more than the Super 7.
It's tough because I feel like you're saying that's astronomical, but I think that's just what stuff costs now. Like to produce that, I don't think that's gouging. I don't think that just to have a licensed toy with the detail you want, the size you want, the posability, quality, that's just what it costs now. I mean, I hate to say that, but I was looking at a Transformer and it was over $100 to order this thing for like a 10.5 inch. It's crazy, the prices of this stuff.
So how do you decide whether you're going to get it or not?
Just how badly I want it. I am buying less, but I'm still collecting. Like, I feel like I'm buying less, but I'm spending the same amount of money.
Yeah.
Because they do keep track of what I spend. And it's gone up a little bit what I spend every month, but it's pretty much stayed the same. But I'm noticing on my list of toys that I bought for the month, it's smaller. But if you go to the Masterpiece, and a lot of those are more fragile. They're meant to be only transformed once or twice, and then you put them in the mode you're most happy with, and you leave them that way. I know a lot of the Beast Wars were like that. The Masterpiece Dinobot from Beast Wars, I didn't get him, but apparently he was pretty fragile. I would say he is a posable statue, with this guy's in the middle.
And you don't really collect masterpieces, you have a few.
No,
very few.
I got some of the earlier ones. Those skyrocketed. Those were like the first ones to just go astronomical. I just have a few of the earlier ones, and that's it. At the end of the day, really, there's no wrong way to do it. Some people like carded figures, some people like the posable statues, some people like the toys. It's, whatever makes you happy, whatever keeps you off the streets.
Yeah. What keeps you sane.
Keeps you sane in this crazy world.
And some people even collect super specific things, but then they're completionists. Like, I'm going to have every Leonardo they ever made. Yeah. I'm only getting Leonardo, but I'm going to get every single one. So it just depends on what makes you happy, what brings you joy when you look over your collection.
Now, are you Da Vinci or DiCaprio? Because they don't make too many figures of that.
Yeah, there would be a very small collection. And that would make me sad.
In a shoebox.
If I walked in, I would just get depressed and leave that room that it was in.
I don't want something fragile.
I'm fine with these, and I liked them more when I was a little younger. Since I've had a few more break,
you soured on them.
I've soured on them. I was a little more in this camp 10 years ago, 15 years ago, and the price is just hurting me too, hurting my heart, hurting my soul.
And your wallet.
I've softened on this, and I'm leaning more toward just having something that's fun and movable. What really blew me away, watch my review of this.
Surprisingly good.
Surprisingly good. And also, if you think toy collecting is dying, well then watch our opinion on this.
Now, get out of here, you crazy kids, and go collect what you like. Because a posable action figure is an action figure that poses, but let's look at it. Because that was stupid. I don't know why I said that.
I almost feel like the notes are hurting us.
Yeah.
Rather than helping us.
It's hurting the flow. That's a great fight so far.